Well, I gotta tell you, I'm excited. I didn't think this was ever gonna get here, but it finally did. It's fall. The last week of September, Pennsylvania's 2016 archery opener starts in less than a week. God, I didn't think this was ever gonna get here. In the last 6 months have been just a roller coaster of ups and downs between mechanical issues, weather. It's just been really hectic. Now, I typically don't like running these camera angles like this, but I don't have much of a choice. It's only me here today. I don't have our sound system set up, so hopefully this is working well. But like I said, I'm just thrilled that we finally have fall weather upon us. Temperatures tonight, first time dropping into the 30s. It's crisp. 58 degrees right now. I am ready. Spring came in and it was, I wouldn't say it was average, but it was okay. It was relatively dry. It was actually really dry. Temperatures were a little above average, so that was good. We were able to work the soil, but it was a harbinger of what was to come. Summer was hot, long, and dry. We went, pretty sure it was a month and a half, almost 2 months without any measurable rain. I'm talking less than 1/10 of an inch. And then when we finally did get rain, it was 2 inches in less than an hour. Thankfully, food plots, orchards, when you've got 100 apple trees in the ground and you've got acres of food plots planted and there's no rain for 2 months, that gets a little hectic. On top of that, we suffered through some mechanical issues. Now, like everybody, it's bound to happen. We try to run a pretty solid maintenance program, but you're gonna have problems crop up. Literally crop up. "80-year-old apple trees, delicious." Now the 100 or so that we've got in the ground that we planted in the last couple of years, that got a little tricky. We were running water wagons out to water the trees because we were worried they wouldn't pull through, but fortunately everything looks good. Our food plots managed to come through. Our Whitetail Institute Chicory Plus, that had me concerned. After that month and a half with no rain, it was looking rough. There was bare dirt and just stems, that was it. But thankfully I got on the phone, talked to Wilson Scott and Steve Scott at WTI, and they assured me all we needed was a little bit of rain and that it would bounce right back up. And sure enough, it went from brown to green in about 2 weeks, and deer were definitely happy, so was I. Now our soybean plot, that's a different story. That'll be a whole nother episode in itself. But the deer are definitely hitting it. Bean pods are established. They're hitting the forage good. They've got it all knocked down. So like I said, I usually don't care for these angles, and Joel and I weren't entirely sure what kind of direction we wanted to take with these videos, but I think after we talked about it, I think we might bring some of these real-time, whatever, blogs or vlogs or whatever the heck they're called, just to kind of follow the progression, if for nothing else, a video library for our kids and our grandkids to see years from now. But it might be fun just to follow along with us and see what happens real time, in addition to the, the how-tos and the how-not-tos. So let's go take a walk on the property and see how things look. Well, here's one of our first apple orchards. Got about 2 dozen trees in here. This is an orchard we established in, was it 2010? So we're 6 years into this orchard. And this was definitely a learning curve. We were talking no soil preparation, very little research into it. It was one of those things where, you know, you're thinking, deer like apples. We don't have very many apple trees on one section of the property, so let's throw a few in the ground and pray for the best. Well, you can certainly do that. You can always just run into things and hope for the best, or you can take your time, do things right, do the research, put the money, the time, and the energy into it, and do it right, and usually 9 times out of 10 get a heck of a lot better results. So this orchard is one that was a learning tool for us. This is what we, I guess what you could say, played with till we got things right. But it's doing good. We're producing apples. They're 7- and 8-year-old trees now. Got a few chestnut trees mixed in around them. And that thing is huge. That's a good 15 feet. I don't know if you can... So there's some nice looking apple trees in here. But like I said, the soil has never been on target. It's just not very conducive to apple trees. But before that, it was really nothing else, so it works. We got these cherry trees in here we still haven't dropped. It's one of the things on the project list. But that's part of the ride. There's always things to do, always things to learn. Thankfully, through YouTube and videos like this, you know, we're able to learn from other people. Hopefully, some of the things we provide, there's tips that you guys can pick up as well. Man, it's a beautiful day. I have been so ready for this weather. That first day in the 80s and then the 90s, I was done. And they never ended. Ever. Alright, well, this is one of the food plots. This is what we refer to as the stump plot, because there were a lot of old growth stumps down there. We expanded this year. Down there at the very end, and hopefully you can see that. Down there at the very end on the south end is Whitetail Institute winter greens, and on the north end, the end that we just established here this year, has Whitetail Institute no plow. And again, no rain, no help, but there goes the tail. So this WTI no plow, thankfully we finally got rain and it came up. The winter greens look fantastic, only because the south end of this plot is always wet. There are beech nuts and acorns galore, apples galore this year. It's going to be an awesome hunting season. One of the things about these winter greens that just screams hunting season for me is the smell. Now, some people can't stand the smell of them, others love it, and I'm definitely one of the people who love it. It's a very unique smell, but as soon as you catch that whiff, you cannot help but think hunting season. Put one of our trail cameras over the south end of stump. If you don't have trail cameras, you need some. These things are a blessing to have. the amount of research you can gather, conclusions you can make. If you don't have them, you need them. This is one of the access roads to our Dreams food plot. This is planted in Whitetail Institute tall tine tubers this year. Last year it was a gorgeous plot of Pure Attraction, and I believe if I had to rank them, Pure Attraction would be on the top of my list. Now, the tall tine tubers this year are doing well. They aren't doing extremely well given the weather, but they're doing okay. We had some issues in the beginning of the season when we planted. We planted in anticipation of rain that was in the forecast and never happened. So germination struggled. We had 24 turkeys every 4 or 5 days coming out of one of our funnels right across the plot. It struggled. Everybody struggled. If you're in Pennsylvania and you had good weather, consider yourself lucky. Actually, if you're anywhere in the country and you had rain, consider yourself lucky. Except for some places. I know some places did not need the amount of rain they got. So the tubers look good. They smell good, just like the wintergreens. There goes 3 more. Dang it. Keep my mouth shut. This is Ghost Plot. We affectionately refer to it as that because it originally started about 30 years ago as an apple orchard that our father and a couple of the other guys from camp created. Unfortunately, through the years though, those apple trees never made it. The bear finally clobbered the last one, so we pulled it out and turned it into a food plot. It was originally only about maybe 2/10 of an acre at best. One of the things that we decided we were going to do is we were going to expand it. We had different phases set up that we were planning on working on. What you can see over my shoulder is about twice the size of what Ghost originally was. So our first phase was expanding kind of the outer perimeter. Then the second or third, fourth, fifth, I don't even know what phase we were even into, wasn't supposed to happen for about 2 more years, but we were on a roll, so we kept going. Everything behind me is the last phase. I'm not sure whether or not I want to go sit in a stand till dark and see what I see, or if I want to get some work done. Those deer have these tops mowed. That's one thing we didn't do this year, was establish the electric fence around any of these back food plots. We kept it up on the soybeans and just let it go on the beans because they were struggling so much with 0 rain. This is the Pure Attraction that we had in Dreams last year. Like I said, it is one of my favorite seed blends. Well, let's go down here. We'll pull one more camera card out and head back to camp. I got some tree stand work I want to do. I don't know whether to do that tonight though or tomorrow night. I'd like to sit for the last couple hours. And considering we just walked all around these 3 food plots, How about that for excitement? Man, that was incredible. I went back and forth with the decision earlier this afternoon whether I was going to work on one of those tree stands or sit for the evening, and I decided, since we walked the property earlier, that I was going to finish the day working on a tree stand. I drove out, let the truck sit there, and walked down into the stand, put a few screws in, and then sat for maybe 15 minutes, and those 3 doe and the buck came up. Looked like a 6-point, but I couldn't really tell. And then about 10 minutes later, was it 2 more doe, and the spike came up. And I thought, well, it's time to head back to camp. And a perfect example harkens back to that article that I wrote earlier this year called Instinct, Intuition, and the Expense of It All. As I was getting ready to come down out of that stand, I was going back and forth with the decision whether I wanted to walk back to camp or drive. And I decided to let the truck sit and walk instead. Came up out of that tree stand a few hundred yards and stopped. Caught those 2 deer here in the south end of stump. Watched them for 2 or 3 minutes and then heard another deer coming up from behind me. Turned around, and that buck, 4, maybe 5 yards away before he stopped and realized I was standing there. It was at least an 8. I don't think it was at 10 point, but that was a big buck. Man, just unbelievable. Had we drove back, none of this ever would have happened. That is the expense of not following instinct and intuition.